During the next few months, thousands of people will lace up their running shoes and take part in events to raise money and awareness for important causes. Many others will run just for the fun of it. If you're ready to run a 5K, what do you need to do to prepare? Lorene Cachola is at the starting line and ready to race through preparation tips.
Well, take your marks, Joe. You know what it takes to run a race, although for many of us, it's hard to imagine running a 5K. That's 3.1 miles. But this is something that you can prepare for in stages. And personal trainer Wendy Holmes joins us with some advice on getting ready to run. Now, Wendy, what do you have to do to even see if you're fit enough to run a 5K?
Well, the first thing you want to do is check with your physician. And what we mean by check with your physician is you actually go to the doctor and you have your blood pressure checked, weigh in, maybe have an EKG, see how that heart's doing, maybe a blood workup to see if you are fit to start this program. But then also shoes. Got to have a good pair of shoes. Running is a high impact activity. And with these great specialty stores now, the employees have been trained and educated on finding the right shoe with the best fit for you, your stride, your gait, to minimize any injuries.
Now, I've heard that when you're training for a 5K, mixing running and walking is really important.
Yes, that's great, because the next thing you want to do is you want to have a plan, kind of a plan of progression. You don't want to just say, okay, I'm ready to run a 5K and head out the door. It's good motivation, but you need a little bit of how are you going to do that, how many minutes, how many days. And if you go to our website, we're going to have a beginner and intermediate program that you can look at and use as a guideline.
So what are some of the exercises that we can do once we have this schedule to get ready for a 5K?
Yeah, well, one of the things you're going to want to do is make sure you're stretching the right muscles. We tend to get excited and are walking and running, but then we don't stretch. So let me show you a couple of stretches you can do to prevent some injury. The first one, we'll just use our treadmill right here, and that is using, let's take our shoe and bring it behind you.
So you want to grab your shoe?
Yeah, you grab your shoe, and what you should do is pull the leg back enough until you feel a stretch in that large muscle group in the front, your quadricep. And you should hold these about 15 to 30 seconds. We won't quite hold that long today, but now take it to your leg to the back. Good. Now we're stretching the back of our leg, the calf muscle. If you're not feeling the leg there, and you're in great position, you've got your feet pointed and lined up towards me, is you can take the upper body forward a little bit, and you feel that, yeah, feel a good stretch there. You can even take now a slight bend in the knee, and now you're stretching a little bit lower in the leg. Okay, and from here, take your leg forward, and what we're stretching is the back of the leg, our hamstrings. Hands can rest either up on the treadmill or chair like you're doing, or maybe opposite thigh, kind of sitting down into it. And you feel that in the back of the leg?
Yes. Yeah. And it's important not to be putting your hands
That's
here.
right. Want to protect the knee, and so we're using the other thigh to kind of rest our upper body on.
Now, what about, do you stretch before you run? Do you stretch after?
That's a great question. Before stretching, regardless of the activity, you want to make sure you're warmed up. So that would mean if you wake up in the morning to exercise, warm up a little bit with walking or marching or just moving your legs, and then stretch.
And what about the treadmill? Is this something you can work into training for a 5K?
Absolutely. The treadmill is a great tool to use for training. I like it because it sets the pace of your runs. It's got the clock right in front of you to look at. And if you're not going to use the treadmill, you know, the other thing you might want to have handy is your stopwatch, because it also can beep at you and let you know when it's time to walk, which you'll be looking forward to after running.
And when it's time to stop, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what about incorporating rests into your training?
Yes, absolutely. Rests are important because it gives your body time to repair itself from the last walk or run that you've done, and then also get your mind ready for the preparation, because usually with progression, you're going to be going longer or harder. So get your mind and body both ready for the next day.
Well, Wendy, this sounds like something you could be ready in 2 to 3 months for a 5K in this program.
That's right, about a minimum of 8 weeks, maybe longer if your training's off, but a minimum of 8, so at least invest 8.
Great. Well, join us next time for more ways to look good and feel great.